Good morning, my dear friends, and very warm welcome to StudyIQ. I hope you all are doing good this morning. Let's have a positive start. A very important quote, I believe, because many a time most of you would be, or most of us, feel lazy about doing some things, isn't it? So laziness is nothing. What is laziness? Laziness is nothing more than the habit of resting before you get tired, right? So it's not a sort of mental tiredness, or it's not a physical fatigue, right? It's more about a bad habit. And the thing about habit is that it can be changed, right? Now, there are different ways to change this habit. One thing is keeping your eye on it or observing your habits. And once you observe your habits, gradually it will change. It will drop by. If you are too much focused about, like, you want to change this and you don't want to do this, you don't want to do this, then that will stay with you, and you will face many failures. So take it easy and observe your habits, and you will be able to get rid of it just by observing it. Trust me, it works. With this, we have good important articles. Let me tell you what we are not going to discuss today, and the reason is this one is a pure political article. This one is about journalism, importance of data and other things. Here, this article is talking about one particular article of The Hindu, and why that article was not that good one. It's basically talking about this graphics and why data should have a bit of context as well. It's not important just to present data, right? Same thing applies with your mains examination descriptive writing as well. If you have too many examples, that is not going to help you. You need to have logical items, and then you can add one or two facts based on different questions. Right? You can give examples. So this is how it works. Anyways, the practice is the king. So let's see what we have got on this page here. This one is about a just and equal code. It is about Uniform Civil Code. Very important article. Here you have Wuhan Reset. This article is written by former NSA. So we are getting a new point or new perspective from this article. And then we have one of the most important article of the day. It is this steering reform in clogged courts. As far as courts are concerned, most of the time we focus too much on these vacancies and other things, but there are other things as well, right? Apart from vacancies that are creating problems, and if we don't sort out these things, then we will never be able to change this thing. So this one is very important article. You may find a direct question from this article as well. When I say this article, I mean to say this particular topic. You have this one, the fruits of defeat, about Karnataka. If you have extra time, go through it, or else it's fine. And this one is about rise of Sadra. Now, who is Sadra? We'll talk about it. It's basically Iraq's new leader, you can say, or winner in this parliamentary election. So let's move on, dear friends. Before moving ahead, very important announcement. StudyIQ provides pen drive and tablet courses for various different exams, as you can see on your screen. We have got a test series out there as well for you guys. So find out more about this pen drive and tablet courses, test series and other things from StudyIQ.com. If you have any question or queries, you can give us a call on the numbers that you can see on your screen. Dear friends, many a times I do receive message from you guys. If you have any doubts or queries or something, let me tell you that I won't be able to respond or reply. I'm sorry to say, but I would require your understanding here, that because I look after lectures and others. So we have experts, we have people who can help you, and they are the ones who would be able to help you. I won't be able to help you. So give your call, or give a call on this number, right? If you are finding any difficulties, then of course you can write down to me either on my Facebook, or you can drop a Twitter message, and I will make sure that your query is dealt with. But your first priority, or the first channel of communication, should be this one. And you have chat support as well on StudyIQ.com. If you want to download the PDF of today's discussion, you will get it from my FB page or Twitter handle. Don't forget to pass your like if you have learned something, and do share this lecture with other people as well. Now, let me start with this example here. Imagine that you are this person, right? You are a customer. Let's give you a name called C. You are C, and you go to this person who is D, who is a dealer. You want to buy a cake or gift or something for your loved one because you have this birthday coming up, right? So today is 21st May, and you visit this person, and you order something, and this person assures you that by 22nd around 6 p.m. Right, you will get your item. You have paid the money for it already, and now because you have paid, you are not going anywhere else. You are relying on this person, and all of a sudden when you visit this person at 6 p.m. or before 6 p.m. you realize that your order will take a couple of more days, right? And now he's not ready to pay you or return your money. Party starts at 7, so of course you can imagine, right, what situation you are in. Now let's talk about this person here. How can this person, he or she improve his business or their transactions? Of course, they have to sort out this thing called supply chain. Now after investigation, we find this thing. We are talking about a hypothetical, imaginary situation here, right? So we are investigators, and we go there, and then we realize that there was a big puncture in 2 or 3 tires of this big lorry, and because of this thing, this lorry was stuck somewhere in between, and in somewhere there where there was no chance of replacing these tires and things like that. So because of this thing, his whole operation got delayed, and this person didn't got his item on time, and this is the reason why he lost this customer forever. So what we can learn from this example is that if you want to deliver something on time, then all your items, right, should be this is called supply chain, the whole chain, starting from raw material, then going into another factory as a raw material, then coming out as a finished product for this factory, but it could be a semi-finished product for this factory, then becoming a complete product, right, or a finished product, and then being transported to different parts of the country or world or whatever. So you can imagine, if one thing goes wrong, then the whole system will fall down. Same thing happens with our courts as well. Today we are going to focus on 2 items. One is case listing, right? Case listing, and the other thing is infrastructure of our courts. Now, recently, Bombay High Court judges, they sat beyond midnight, and they were hearing cases, and because they did this thing, because after that they were going on for, or the courts were going to shut down for this month-long summer break. So they thought that they should burn this midnight candle and tackle as many cases as they can before this summer vacation. Now this is a good gesture, no doubt, right? In 156 years history of this Bombay High Court, this is a rare occasion, no doubt. But do you think that this sort of things will change? We have few judges, right, who are ready to go or walk this extra mile, and at some point of time many judges, right, they go or they have to walk this extra mile to catch up with things. Now, do you think that this sort of ad hoc situation will change, or do we want ad hoc situation in this scenario, or do we want a sort of very good supply chain that you have a spare truck or something that just in case if something goes wrong, then you can have a couple of vans, right? They will transfer all these items, and then so if you already have this contingency plan, then of course it will help. But if you are going without any safety net, then it is going to create problems, isn't it? So same thing happens with our courts as well, right? That most of the time our focus is on case delay, which is of course important, appointments and vacancies, of course it is important, and most of these laws and many times you find these methods are very outdated as well. So these things are of course important. We need to fill these vacancies, we need to adopt more up-to-date methods. Even today, you know, this on an average, I'll just give you rough figure that to carry one criminal from jail to this hearing, you have to deploy a big van, right? In that van you will carry one or two, say for example, criminals, and then you will take them to court, and it will go on and on. Then again you have to take them back to this jail. So many paperwork and so many things. This can be sorted out if we adopt new methods, like you can have high definition cameras in the jail, and you can have this you know, a small special room where you can position this criminals, and this judges or this whole court can see them during their hearing date and things like that. So this sort of things need to be deployed so that less police people are occupied with transporting these criminals here from back and forth from jail to courts and things like that. Now, apart from all these things, the main focus in this article, I told you that these are the two things that we are going to talk about, and we are going to talk about this organizational barriers and court processes. Very important thing. The first thing is that as far as this case listing is concerned, right, do you know that on an average somewhere around 100 matters are listed before a judge in a day? 100 matters. That's, let me say that if I have to analyze 100 articles and then bring all these articles for you guys, do you think that this is humanly possible? The first thing is, or the answer, simple answer is no. The other thing is, even if I try, say for example 20 articles or 25 articles, then you may easily argue that many articles, right, they will get mixed up. If I have out of this 20 articles, if there are, let me give you one more example, right? You can try this thing. Watch one type of movie in a day, watch at least 3 movies in a day if you want to try this experiment, right? Watch 3 war movie or 3 drama or romantic or whatever movie, right? Watch same sort of movie in a day, 3 movies in a day, and by the end of the day or next day you will find this thing for yourself, that you will mix up stories with each other. So basically what we are trying to say here is that the quality of judgment, right, will get affected, right? A person who is a judge, who is looking after or is being presented with 100 or more matters in a day, you can imagine, and the next day he's going to get another 100 matters. So this whole thing is not sustainable at all. If we see things in different countries like USA or other developed countries, then we find that they have enough judges, they have enough support staff and other things, and because of this thing, the whole process, this whole operation, right, one judge is a person who is very important, but it's not that judge is or this court is running just on the strength or on the shoulder of judges. No, you have many different staffs, right? People who are taking this report, deciding which case is going to be at what time, and there are so many things, so many paperwork and so many things. So if we don't sort out this thing, then we are not going to see any speed as well as quality. And later on, what happens if too many things are there, then quality will get affected. Many cases, they are at different stages. It's not that your stage will not come on dice, but you find that various different cases in various different courts, they are stuck at various different stages. You could be in initial stage, second stage, third stage, or final stage. So this is the problem. I hope I'm able to explain what I'm trying to tell you here. The other thing is this delays or this quality or lack of quality, right, basically, and too much of quantity impacts other items or other people like judges, of course, lawyers, registry staff, and ultimately case disposal. The other thing is that when you have too many cases going on, and when you have this system, when you have this many cases. At the same time, if you don't have tools and weapons, I'm talking about infrastructure. If you don't have proper infrastructure, then how you are going to sort it out, isn't it? If you don't have proper offices where you can take some, you can refer some books or refer some other cases, you can sit down and think. If you're always rushing after things, then it's not going to help you. Of course, after a couple of years experience, you can do those things. But in your initial stage, you have to go step by step. You have to be systematic. And once you become a pro, then you can play around and customize your own thing. But what we find here, that lack of infrastructure, not proper offices. You can see here Supreme Court's report of 2016 that we have or accommodation facility for infrastructure facility for 15,540 judicial officers. But how many have we sanctioned? 20,000. There are lack of basic facilities. Can you imagine? There are no proper toilets that you can use. There are no proper restroom, no good food or other items available. And this sort of things make these places a sort of very, bad experience if you visit courts. If you visit collector's office, then you will feel a bit happy about it. You will feel that, oh, government is working very well. And this is something that I have talked about earlier on as well. The sad thing in our country, what I have observed personally, is that if you go to IT office, IT in the sense income tax office, then you will find they will have all good facility, drinking water, toilets, sofa for your waiting and other things, because revenue is coming in. This is what my observation is. It's totally personal observation. You can disagree with this thing. And then when you go to police station, or if you go to courts, then you find that they don't have that sort of facility. Because I think that even today, our main mindset, this was how British used to work, right? When British Raj was here, they used to focus on all those things that were bringing revenue in, and all those items that were considered as expenses, like police, courts, and other things. They were not having that good facilities, or they were not provided that good facilities. And this thing is going on. This mindset, you can say, or this culture is still going on, and this is very bad for our democracy. So what we need is, we need to apply management principles. We need this latest management principles. We need to bring in experts. There are experts in operation management. They will study your whole system, and then they will make necessary changes. You might have seen this mega factories and other programs on Discovery and Geographical Channel, and then you find that experts will come in and they will sort out problems. This is something that is required, right? We need to add technology. Just adding this case information system 2.0, which is recently added, this is just one portion of it. How we use data, how we are handling data, how we are recording it, how we are analyzing it, all these things, right, matters. And this can be done. If means judges and other people, they are good with law, but when it comes to management, we need to take a sort of experts advice and help. And if we bring in these experts, some of the best in the world, then we can change this thing. And this will, in fact, it very well how important it is for us to have proper courts for our democracy. Moving on to another item, dear friends, this is about Wuhan Reset. Now, Wuhan, this informal meeting, we have talked about it many a times, right? What China wants to project is made in China by 2025, and India is, of course, for Make in India. Now, this informal summit, why it was conducted? Basically, it was a summit for trust building, right, between India and China. India talked about 5 principles: Soch, Sampark, Sahyog, Sankalp, and Sapne. These are the 5 principles that we talked about, and we said that based on this thing we can build our good relationship. What are the outcomes, you can say, or what are the takeaways? We talked about strategic communication, that we are going to have more this type of informal summits. We also gave respective leaders, right? Modi told Indian Army and Xi told his army to develop this communication channel and be more sensitive towards these problems and things like that. We also talked about this joint economic project in Afghanistan. We talked about counter-terrorism, and we also talked about this political parameters and guiding principles of 2005 that was signed between India and China in 2005. And we said that we want to work on or carry on to work on these principles and guiding principles of 2005. Now, India has, endorsed adherence to letter and spirit of this 2005, and it is, of course, a very important milestone as far as India-China border issue is concerned. Now, the thing is, if we see China at present, the role of China or what China is doing at present. See, first of all, China is a very powerful country at present. China is facing this confrontation from USA and Western world, and China is, of course, a very important player in Korean Peninsula as well. You can relate our previous discussion on this Korean Peninsula. Maps were provided to you. I have provided many additional information as well. So here again I would say just one thing before moving ahead, that you have to be regular with this discussion. Of course, you know that it's not possible for me to repeat all the things, but if you are regular, then it is going to be a very easy ride for you guys. So as far as Korea is concerned, North Korea, a very important meeting is going to take place. We just got news that there are some turbulence in this meeting, but let's wait and watch. Let's not be too quick about judgmenting whether this meeting will take place or not. Then China, Russia, both are United Nations Security Council's permanent members, and their tuning is very good at present. East China, you go here, you see this place. Let me show you with this pointer. See, you can see this is basically one belt and one road. I hope you can see this red laser light that I'm trying to point here. So all these items, right? Hambantota, this Djibouti military base, and this is a roadway from where China is trying to connect to Europe. I have talked about this thing earlier on, that this is more about, home delivery thing. That if you want to order something nowadays, if you're hungry, then you order something with your app or something, and food will come at your home. So this is again, a sort of laziness, I would say. This is how business works. They know the overall habit of human beings. This people in management is a very interesting thing in this way. So they have, people, they will find out what people are seeking or how their behavior is, consumer behavior and things like that. And based on this thing, they will come out with this delivery system. So if you can get food at your home, right, so you will be bit, whenever you find that nothing is there, or people like mother or sister or your wife or whatever, if they are not if they are out of station or something, then you will order this food. So it's a part of habit. In the same way, this is something that China is also trying to develop, that by building this road and infrastructure, if you want to manufacture something, then you have this whole supply chain from where you can purchase things. In case if you have any troubles or anything like that, then China will deploy its military base and it can reach there quickly. So there are multiple, this is not just about trade, it is about multiple things, dual purpose, trade and war. They have also started this polar Silk Road, starting from here all the way to Japan and then entering into Bering Strait and Bering Sea, and from here Arctic Ocean and reaching to all these countries. So this is how China is covering, and China is very strong in this sense, no doubt. It has deep pockets and it can do all these things. It is increasing its influence. It is basically an alternative to India at present as far as this this region is concerned. Now the question is, why China is so lenient? We can understand about India, that India is bit, India wants to develop relation and things like that. India is bit, you can say, less powerful when you compare it with China. But China is more powerful. Then why it is being so lenient with India? Of course, right? Because USA is lining its own troops like Western democracies to checkmate China. China wants support in Asia. The other thing is we talked about this thing, I believe, either in Hindu analysis or PIB, I can't remember, but I have talked about this thing that when Prime Minister was there, when Modi ji was in Wuhan, at the same time, Li Keqiang had a meeting with Mr. Abe. They also had a trilateral meeting, China, Japan and South Korea. We talked about this Japan and China. Yes, it was in this Hindu analysis only. There was an article on India and China, I can remember. So at that point of time, we went through this trade figures, that China and Japan, even if they are having problems with this Sinkazu Island and other things, they are good trading partners of each other. China is big economy now, number 2. Japan is number 3. So there are many things. We are happy about this informal meeting, no doubt, but at the same time we have to keep this thing in mind, that as far as Doklam is concerned, this thing has not been sorted out forever. Still there are some unsaid things. As far as Arunachal Pradesh is concerned, we are going to face problems in future. Remember in last meeting in 2017, China declared this thing that it wants to develop world-class military. It is developing. A couple of days ago there was this thing in news that their aircraft carrier is ready. Indigenous aircraft carrier is ready. It will face trials and things like that. So they are gearing up. The budget has gone up too. So we have to be a bit careful here. We cannot just trust this informal meetings because China has kept its mouth shut as far as Doklam, Arunachal Pradesh and other items are concerned. Moving on to this article, it is about Uniform Civil Code. Now, very basic thing that we have to understand, as far as Uniform Civil Code is rational, if it's non-discriminatory and if it promotes social equality and gender justice, then there is no harm at all in accepting it. If all these things are promoted by UCC, then let's go for it. The other thing is about Hindu personal law or Muslim personal law. They are not coming directly from divine sources. We have to keep this thing in mind as well. Both this Hindu personal law as well as Muslim personal law are products of British Raj. Very few people are aware about this thing, that in 18th century or from 18th century onwards, right, British judges who were not expert in this Islamic texts or Hindu texts, they started delivering judgment on these things, and this was, you can say, not a proper way of dealing with cases. Now, as far as we can say this Quran or the laws that we find or the things that we find in Quran is concerned, then this is really one thing that we have to understand, that Prophet Muhammad was a social revolutionary. Do you know this thing that divorce was not available, or it was never thought of in any other religions like Hinduism or Christianity or in Judaism or in Buddhism? It was not there, but in Islam it was introduced, and today, right, at that point of time, it was one of the most important innovation of the world. Because what used to happen, that two people who are not able to stand together at all, right, you can imagine if you are having problem with your wife or husband or someone whom you love, and if this thing is going on forever and ever, and if this is impacting your health, your well-being, then the best thing is to drift apart, isn't it? This is the best thing. Rather than spoiling life of each other, it is better to get separated. And this thing was introduced by Quran. So this was a very big social revolution. The other thing that we find is that at that point of time, girl child, right, they were buried alive because of, now again we have to keep this thing in mind, that at that point of time wars and other things were going on. So Prophet came out with a solution. Prophet declared this thing, that a woman could inherit property and the wife's assets belonged solely to her. This is basically about empowering women. I'm not that sure about it, but I think this again, right? I have read this thing somewhere that this was again the first innovation. This thing was not available in other religion. So we can see that all these changes are quite innovative, and it also says about this thing that as per time you need to update. It's not that you have to be outdated. No, that is a wrong thing. You have to update yourself as per the change of time. And today, if it will be Muslim community or a Hindu community or any other community in our country, right, we have to move ahead, and we have to go for this non-discriminatory a thing that is providing, or a code that is providing social equality, gender justice, and other things. We need this sort of things in our society, and we have some good examples coming from divine sources that can help us. This one is about rise of Sadr, and Sadr is the person that you can see here. He's a nationalist Shia cleric. During his campaign, he was, it's not that he is a Shia, so he is favoring Iran. He was against Iran's interference in Iraq. He was against this Iraqi establishment as well because of corruption, and there are so many other things going on. So basically, his main focus was social justice, failure of government policies and failure of government and things like that. And he also was against this Iran's deepening influence. He said that people in Iraq, we have to become our own, lords of our own destiny and things like that. So he has gone good numbers, but that does not mean that Iraq has got, this parliament has got an absolute, or a party has got absolute majority. Not at all. Political negotiation, something that is going on in Karnataka, something similar is going on in national level in Iraq. There is no one party that is clearly a victor. Then Mr. Sadr also visited Saudi Arabia. You have this Shia Sunni thing I have talked about. So he visited Saudi Arabia to strike a balance between these two regional powerhouses. And Iraq, of course, is a multi-sector society. If you go through your history books, right, this NCERTs, you will find out about this Mesopotamia and other things. You will find that at that point of time, in different parts of Iraq, people were following different religious practices, and way of worship and things like that were different. And even today, if you go there, then you will find that Iraq is a very diverse society. All right, it's very diverse society, and so again, they can learn many things from our country, but they have to take everyone on board, and only then they can move ahead. India is associated with Iraq and Iran. As far as Iraq is concerned, we have cultural ties. I'm not sure you are aware about this thing, but somewhere around 20 to 25% of Iraqi military during this Saddam Hussein time, people from India were recruited. As far as I know, this is the first place, a Sikh guru visited this place. I'm not sure whether it was Guru Nanak. I think it was Guru Nanak who visited Iraq. There were so many Sufi saints coming from this part of the world in our country. So we have this sort of relationship. Trade relationship is there. So it is very important for us to see that Iraq becomes this political turmoil comes to an end. 7 of our policemen were killed by this Maoist blow, and we are going to have this Bastaria battalion. Local tribal people are going to be part of CRPF. Petrol diesel prices going up. Fishermen, right? Beg your pardon, firemen. 1,200 firemen. There is a shortage of 1,200 firemen. Foreign investor. There was a residency scheme that has not picked up or not worked at all. Prime Minister office has asked to UPSC that allocation of services should be done after official, this training or this basic foundation course. So this is a very interesting thing coming on. And then you have banks and United Nations call for. Yesterday was World Bee Day. So bees are pollinators. So we need to save them. Now, dear friends, I have not added a question today. I want you guys, if you have any question, then do let me know. I have found this common question, this common query, that is it enough, right, to just follow this video or the Hindu analysis video and go through the notes, and that's it, and your current affair is done. I can understand you would be at a very beginning stage. So this is the reason I'm, of course, I can understand that you would be in your very initial stage. No, the answer is a big no, right? It's not enough. The thing is, I have said this and I'm repeating here, I can be your wings. I can be your legs. If you want to run, if you want to fly, then I can be your wings. But it's not possible at all. And if someone is claiming then it is possible, then as far as my experience is concerned, that is not going to help you, right? You have to do your self-study. One thing that I would like to add is that 75%, I can go up as well, right? I can go up to 80, 85, but to make it, or else you will feel that the thing that I'm saying is not that right. 75% of your course, of your syllabus, if you go through your prelims, if you go through your mains examination, if you're preparing for UPSC, if you go through your interview questions, if you're preparing for other exams, then as well you will find that current affair is part of your examination. And 75%, if talking about UPSC exams or national level exams, particularly UPSC, right, 75% of your questions are having its root in current affairs, right? Directly, indirectly, you will find questions. It could be more than that, but I'm just keeping it at 75%. So if you are spending, after watching this video, if you go through these articles that we have discussed, you will read them literally like you are reading love letter, right? Read them 2 times, 3 times. You are not wasting your time. You are training yourself. You are training yourself for 75% of the things that are going to be asked, right? Then it will help you with your basic studies. If you are reading NCERTs or if you are reading other books, reference books and other things, it will help you, right? You have to think about what you have learned today. You have to revise. You have to be innovative. You cannot follow just one diet. You cannot follow just one regime that wake up in the morning, read, sleep. No, you have to be innovative. You have to apply your mind. You have to observe what things are working for you, what things are not working for you. In a nutshell, I will say that this examination, competitive examination, is more about your head rather than your hands, right? More about what you think, how you are doing things, how you're planning, all these things. It's about changing the way you are doing things. So far, you were being given spoon feeding and everything, but this sort of things will not help you. Imagine you become an IAS or IPS officer and then you have to go to tuition class to find out how to manage riots and other things. They will give you training, but after that you have to apply your own mind. So this is a very good way to start. So that's everything, dear friends, in today's discussion. I have taken some extra time, but sorry about that. See you later on. Enjoy your studies. Jai Hind.